Hello people, what's up? In this video I'm going to show you a game tape between Alexander Alekhine and Frank James Marshall. Alexander Alekhine is the 4th world chess champion and he has a wonderful attacking style combined with a great positional and endgame mastery. While Frank James Marshall is one of the world's best chess players during the early 20th century and he was also the US chess champion during that time. And this game is played in the year 1925 at Germany. So without any further ado, let's just get into the game. And Alexander Alekhine is playing with the white pieces and Frank James Marshall is playing with the black pieces, and white opens the game with pawn to d4, black plays knight to f6, c4, d5. The Marshall defense is on the board. C takes d5, knight takes d5, e4, hitting the knight goes back. And the general idea of the Marshall opening is to just give white center and slowly chip away at the center using black's pawns and pieces. This includes the use of the knights, the e5 and c5 pawn breaks, the bishops and everything. So black will get a lot of open lines which black can use to aggressively attack white. So yes, bishop to d3 is played, pawn to e5 is on the board, hitting the center, d takes e5, hitting the knight goes to g4, hitting the pawn on e5, and knight to f3 just defends the pawn. Knight to c6 tries to regain the pawn, bishop to g5, hitting the queen. f6 is not a good idea in this position because that is e takes f6. So bishop to e7 is played and both the players trade bishops. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, knight to c3, knight takes e5. Black finally regains the pawn back. Knight takes e5, queen takes e5, not knight takes e5 because knight takes e5 is also fine, but queen takes e5 is a good centralizing move for the queen, and the queen exerts, sorry about that arrow, queen exerts a lot of pressure on the queen side, the king side, to the center, and it cannot be easily kicked away by any of the pieces. So h3 is played, kicking away the knight goes back, queen to d2, bishop to d7, queen to e3. This queen maneuver from queen d2 and queen e3 just places the queen on an optimal square where this queen can never be kicked out. Like this knight cannot kick out the queen and this bishop can never touch the queen because it's on a dark square. So yeah, and it also prepares a potential king side pawn storm in the future once black castles towards the king side. And this also shows the intent of white castling queen side, which will bring the rook to the d file and the position will be more aggressive with opposite side castling and a lot of stuff. Interesting stuff, right? Yes. Bishop to c6 is played, putting more pressure in the center. Long castles, short castles by black. Pawn to f4, starting an attack on the black's queen. Queen goes back, pawn to e5, hitting the knight, but it's actually not a threat because you cannot actually take because white's queen is hanging with a check. So that is there, but it will exert a threat in the future. So rook f8 is played, which will further reinforce the battery towards the e file. So this capture is disabled for now completely. So rook he1 just supports white's queen. Still white cannot capture in the future because there is queen takes, rook takes, and rook takes, winning a rook. I hope you can see that. Rook ad8 is played. Pawn to f5, just pushing every pawn and just attacking black in every possible way. And this queen has to move. So the queen goes back to e7. Still you cannot capture this because of the pressure along the e file. So white plays this critical move, queen to g5. This move has multi-purpose. One is to just enable this threat Now it is very deadly. The second thing is, this queen is now on the same file of the king, so that when e takes f6 happens, it comes with a checkmate threat. That is one of the ideas. The other idea is, let's say the knight moves somewhere, there is even f6, which will open up this light square bishop along this diagonal, which will make this queen couple with this bishop in delivering a mating attack on the king on the h7 square. So these are all the main possibilities. There are some other possibilities too. So let's see what black did. Black played this move, knight to d5. Actually, this knight to d5 looks logical because you centralize the knight, you offer a queen trade because your opponent is trying to attack you, and it is good to trade your opponent's queen if your opponent is going to attack you. So it looks logical, but the thing is, it just vacates the f6 square. Actually, it's better for black to play queen f8, sacrificing this knight temporarily. You may ask, what? Why should I sacrifice my knight? Because you see, if e takes f6 happens, like threatening mate, but it's actually not mate because there is queen on f8. Rook takes, sorry about that, that's a mouse slip. Rook takes e1 could be played, and that was a wonderful mouse slip. Never mind. There is rook takes e1, and this bishop will hang on d3. So it's just a piece trade. So, and this position is equal. So black has this option of doing this, but black chooses to go knight to d5. And so feel free to pause the video and win the game for Alexander Alekhine. Take your own time. Congratulations if you had declined the queen trade, and if you have not found the winning move, it's okay. We all improved together. You will find the winning move one day. Winning idea is pawn to f6. I mean, this move, it's a no-brainer to find, but still saying. This threatens checkmate. Also, it attacks the queen. It also opens up the bishop. This move is multi-purpose. It has to be played. So black plays queen f8, defending mate and rescuing the queen from the danger. So bishop to c4 is played, shifting the bishop to this diagonal, which will enable the opening of this rook on d file. The important thing about that rook to be open is, when this knight moves from the d5 square, this is pretty advanced. So if you are a beginner player and you cannot get the concept, don't worry, you will get it very soon. You just have to watch all of my videos that I post regularly. So yeah, you will be there at no time, and you just play your games and analyze them slowly. It will improve you. So yeah, once this knight moves from the d5 square, there is a possibility for a rook trade on d8, and once the other rook lands on the d8 square, it will be on a vision from this queen, which will enable this f takes g7 capture a lethal one with an attack on the queen, and it will also hit the rook on the d8 square. So that rook will be undefended in many cases. So yes, that rook will fall and the game will be lost completely. So that's the idea behind that move. So yes, as you can see, black plays knight takes c3, not b takes c3. What I said, rook takes d8. Rook takes d8. As you can see, everything as planned. Not rushing with this capture right away. First, hitting the queen with f takes g7. Okay, there is knight takes a2 check, king b1, queen to e8. Okay, yes, this is the critical thing. After f takes g7 hitting the queen, black cannot just capture this because there is queen takes d8 check. You understand the point behind this move? So this move is very forcing black's hands. So black just goes queen e8. And white plays this killing move e6, which just shatters like black's king side defenses, and this bishop acts as a battering ram, helping to just demolish black's position, and e takes f7 will result in a fork of the king and the queen. So black has to react. So black plays bishop to e4 check. Don't blindly capture this knight, because you played all the wonderful moves and you will just end up in mate in 1. Yes, this is mate in 1. The queen just covers everything and you cannot go there. So everything is covered. Funny, right? So yes. So it's better to just go king a1 and avoid that threat because it's lethal. And yeah, after king a1 is played, black plays this move f5, trying to just cinch this bishop, but there is e7 discovered check with an attack on the rook. So this bishop's vision has to be blocked because this king cannot move anywhere right now because it's totally entombed. So rook to d5 is played, and you may think rook takes d5 is good. Yes, it's actually mate in some moves, but it's better to actually play queen to f6. Why? Because this move doesn't hurry with just trading pieces and keeps pieces on the board. The main idea of this queen f6 move is to play queen f8 check, which will force black to capture white's queen, and by that time you can recapture, making another queen with the support of the pawn on g7, which will be a checkmate. So I hope you can see that clearly. If not, I will show that in the game. Let's say black plays something. There is queen f8 checkmate. You can see that? Great. So that's the idea behind that move. So queen to f7 is played, trying to interpose white's vision to that square. But there are a lot of winning moves in this position. You may think, yes, bishop takes d5 is mate in 2 from now, because black cannot capture on queen. There is lateral pin, so bishop takes d5 has to be played. There is e8 queen, captures, and this is checkmate. But the cool move after queen f7 is just e8 queen, sacrificing the queen. Yeah. And after playing this move, Frank James Marshall resigned the game and Alexander Alekhine became victorious in this game. And this is one of the wonderful games ever played. So yes, you may ask, okay, why did black resign? Black resigned because the only move that black could play is to accept the queen sacrifice. Queen takes e8. By that time there is bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, and there is rook takes e8 mate. So the same idea, the same mate, right? So that's the thing. So seeing that after e8 queen, black resigned the game. And yes, if you enjoyed the game, consider subscribing to the channel, like the video and share it to a friend. See you next time. Bye bye.